would say that, well, in fact, we have Brexit on the one hand, we have the election of Trump on the other, and I think both fundamental events which really speak to very similar dynamics, i.e. a revolt, if you like, against the establishment, are seriously questioning the very foundations of the transatlantic relationship, and in particular the very foundations of the security underpinnings of the transatlantic relationship, namely NATO. Now, this is obviously truer in the case of the election of Trump than of Brexit. Brexit, basically what we see is probably one of the most Atlanticist members of the European Union leaving, well, hasn't left yet, but leaving the Union. This has obviously been one of the member states that has most pushed for a close relationship between the European Union and the United States, for a strong foundation, obviously, within the NATO framework. To what extent this is going to have an impact, to what extent Brexit is going to have an impact on that foundation, that security foundation, obviously is not clear. What is clear, and what is already happening, is that the feel of Brexit, because as I said, Brexit has not happened yet, but the feel of Brexit is already leading to a deeper push by other EU member states to move towards deeper security and defence cooperation, possibly integration within the European space. Now, this doesn't mean to say that they want to cut off relationship across the Atlantic, but there is this general feel that Europeans, as Europeans, need to get their act together more, particularly when it comes to security and defence issues. But actually, if you look at the EU Global Strategy, what you will see is that when we talk about cooperative regional orders, and when the strategy looks in particular to the west, if you like, of the European Union, it doesn't talk about the transatlantic relationship, but it talks about Atlantic partnerships. So indeed, the focus is both north and south. Now, why is this focus both north and south? Well, basically because obviously there is the transatlantic relationship, which is generally understood as the relationship between Europe and North America, and in particular the United States. Now, that is and is supposedly meant to remain a core partnership for the European Union. We'll see how that relationship develops over the coming years. But what is equally clear is that there is a growing relationship also with the South. In particular with Latin America, with Central and South America. And looking at the relationships in that wider Atlantic space, be they trade relationships, migration relationships, technology transfers, energy questions, oceans governance, there's a whole range of issues which obviously cover the broader Atlantic space, which the European Union looks at, both turning to the north but also turning to the south. Yes, I mean, I don't see any contradiction between the two. They are two oceans, and therefore there are relationships that have to be built across and between, in fact, those two oceans. So clearly the fact that the European Union is also increasingly going to be looking at the Pacific, and in particular looking at Asia, does not mean to say that this is an exclusive focus which will divert attention away from the Atlantic. I think more broadly speaking, we are looking at a global world which is increasingly interconnected, and therefore also the growing interconnections between and across these regions have to be factored in when thinking about European foreign policy.